Hey everybody, it's Allie, and welcome to our YNR chat for Sunday, October 7th, 2012. I'm surprised by how much my feelings have changed for Ronan. I used to be such a huge Ronan fan, and now I'm just annoyed with him most of the time. Like when he was on the scene last time, it was all about sex. It was all about the sex wolf, and I was totally into it. But then he went away, and I somehow kind of got the impression that when he came back, we were gonna start to see a different side of him. More of a focus on his relationship with Nina, more of a focus on his past and his career and why he's so hesitant to get involved with Nina, and the damn liver thing. I can't even believe that Ronan has been in Genoa City as long as he has, and we still don't know why he took Chance's liver and ran off. It is unacceptable that that has never been addressed. He's just bouncing around town, and nobody questions him about it. Nobody presses him about it. Instead, his entire life is all about solving Genoa City's ridiculous crimes and getting involved with Phyllis. And I think in some ways, it's because my feelings for Phyllis have changed that my feelings for Ronan have changed too, because I've become just so exhausted by Phyllis. She's everywhere. She's in every show, every storyline, every scene it seems, and in every scene that she's in, she's lying. All she does is lie. And now Nick has left her. She's becoming involved with Ronan, and she's tainting him for me. I can't help it. I just feel that Ronan has become just almost pathetic. It was pathetic this week the way he was tracking her down, showing up at her apartment, and practically begging her for sex. He has gone from being the sex wolf to being the sex pup. Like, please sleep with me, Phyllis, please. I can't even believe that Ronan would have to beg Phyllis for sex. And the way his ego is just getting to me, because he was trying to convince her to get involved with him, and he was saying, there's so much heat, you know, when we're together. Don't you feel it when we're in the room together? She straight up was like, no. No, I don't. And he pursues it anyway. He takes it anyway. Ronan just assumes that he's so damn magnetic that she's just going to forget about Nick, the man that she has been desperately trying to cling on to for the better part of a decade. I find it very difficult to believe that Phyllis is not fighting harder for Nick and that she's giving in to Ronan. For years, it has been Nick, 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 for so long. And he's left her before, and she never gave up then, and now she's just letting Nick get away. Why? I don't understand it. She was so hell-bent on keeping Danny that she ran over Chris with her car. Which, by the way, Phyllis admitted to seeing the kiss between Danny and Chris 20 years ago, which totally gave her motive. She revealed, essentially, her motive to Danny and Chris for running Chris over. It was the stupidest, just bonehead move that she's done in a while. Phyllis cannot seem to keep her mouth shut to save her life, and that's exactly what this is boiling down to. There was a lot of really good scenes, though, with the old crew this week. Nina and Chris and Danny and Lauren and Paul all kind of ganging up on Phyllis, and Lauren being the mediator there, and they're, you know, just flying at her, trying to throw shade at Phyllis, and she's so over the top loud in her responses. There was, though, I think probably the moment of the week, a very spicy and thoroughly enjoyable and entertaining confrontation between Nina and Phyllis this week, because Nina found out that Phyllis is sleeping with her son, Ronan, and Nina wasn't just gonna sit down and let that just roll right over. So Nina confronts her, and Phyllis, of course, starts mouthing off and talking about Nina's kids and saying something like, yeah, you know, something about her, like Philip wanting to get away from her so badly that he faked his own death. And Nina, without missing a beat, just reached up and smacked Phyllis across the face. It was so matter of fact. It didn't even, it was just, she couldn't believe, if you look at Nina's face during that scene, it's like she can't believe what she's hearing, and she's just gonna stop it. Just, I mean, it was almost like swatting a fly away, just plap, right across the face. And I personally felt that Phyllis deserved it. I was looking at my screen singing, "Go Nina, go Nina." I mean, in reality, I don't know if Phyllis said anything worse to Nina than Nina said to Phyllis, but I just really enjoyed seeing Phyllis get smacked. Somebody needed to do it. I'm surprised it wasn't Chris, but I was on Nina's side, frankly. I mean, Phyllis is Nina's, in fact, I think Phyllis is probably older than Nina. They're at least around the same age, and Ronan could be Phyllis's son. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Phyllis obviously likes the younger men because Nick is significantly younger than her also, but I can completely see why Nina would be against it. For more than one reason. Nina goes to Ronan after she learns about this and has a confrontation with Phyllis, and she calls him out on it. Well, and I just completely agree with her. I feel like I'm seeing this whole thing through Nina's perspective because it does not make sense. Nina asked Ronan, why would you tarnish your career for her? The one thing I know about you is that you love your job. You would sacrifice anything for your job, and now you're getting involved with the suspect in the case that you're leading. It doesn't make sense for him, and it doesn't make sense to me for him. I don't know, like, maybe Ronan fell off a horse and hit his head. When he left Genoa City, he was riding horses and he fell off of the horse and he bonked his head and he got amnesia, and now he doesn't really know who he is. That's what it feels like. Do you guys feel that way, or is it just me? I don't even know. Why am I so against this? Why can't I just get on board with the Phyllis and Ronan train? Someone please give me a reason to get on board with this. I need it, because I don't enjoy those scenes. Most of the time I'm like, ugh, I watch them. Oh, don't get me wrong, I'm watching them. It's a disgust. It's not the same kind of thing. It's like, for instance, I don't like Adam and Chelsea, so I zone out of those scenes. I'll watch something, not flick, like I usually watch it on my computer. I'll go to another browser and Google search something or whatever. When Adam and Chelsea are on screen, I don't watch. When Phyllis and Ronan are on screen, even though I don't technically like it, I still watch it. I'm just so annoyed with the both of them right now. And by the way, what is up with Ronan's mustache? He needs to shave that thing off his face. And I'm all for a good mustache on a man who can grow a good mustache, and he's not one of them. It just looks dumb right now. I don't get it. I don't get him. I don't get her. Ronan is risking everything for Phyllis, and she treats him like dirt. She really does. I understand she has a right to be resistant because Ronan came up with this brilliant alibi plan that affected her life, and Ronan didn't even discuss it with her. He totally could have said that they were together as friends. He didn't have to make it sound like they were having an affair. He specifically came up with that part of the plan, and when it could have been anything else. He could have just said, I was with her discussing this or that, but no, he chose to make it sexual, which makes me wonder if Ronan was trying to destroy Phyllis's relationship with Nick from the beginning. Was he trying to destroy her marriage? And I don't know why Phyllis isn't really seeing that. She has been, every time Ronan has come to her and tried to talk to her or forge a relationship or say, I'm the only one that listens to you, everybody else in your life has abandoned you, but there's still me. You know what, that connection, that mental connection that we never had when we were sleeping together. And it's never about a mental connection. He makes it sound like it's about a mental connection that they have. And yet, every time they're together, it's all sexual. It's just sexual chemistry in the room, which is awesome on its own, but I'm ready for something else. And I don't know why Phyllis kind of was all no, no, no. And then he came to visit her the last time, and all of a sudden she was baiting him into sex. She really was. It was as if she couldn't resist it anymore. She just needed to feel wanted, needed to feel safe, and here he is pursuing her. And Ronan is a very sexy man. If he was baiting me, I don't know if I could turn him down. But if I had Nick on the other, I mean, Nick's not so bad either. So I didn't understand why all of a sudden she was not only giving into the sex, but kind of fueling the sex, and went on to have sex or get close to sex with Ronan in her living room, where anyone could walk in. Daniel walked in a couple weeks ago just using his key. Anybody could walk right through the door, like Nick, your husband. And Nick almost did. Nick went to go see Phyllis, got all the way to Phyllis's door, where inside she's doing it with Ronan. He puts his little hand up to the door, gets ready to knock, and then decides to turn around. He changes his mind, gets back in the elevator, and goes home. I guess Nick is just as over Phyllis as I am. Plus, he's got a new woman in his sights. Phyllis's sister. Yeah, Nick really knows how to pick them. Both of the mothers of his children are on trial, having serious criminal legal troubles. Or I don't know, maybe that's what being a Newman does to you. Maybe it makes you spiral out of control and do things you wouldn't normally do. But now all of a sudden Nick is in a position of being the responsible one in the family. Who would have thunk it? And at this point, I can see why he's drawn to Avery. She's stable, she's mature, she's pretty much everything that neither Phyllis or Sharon is at this point anyway. Of course, as soon as Avery gets sucked into the actual Newman world, not just being on the outside, who knows, it could happen to her too. It seems to have that effect on women. But this week was Faith's birthday, and Nick had a little party for Faith, and we got to see new Noah make his appearance. And I'm really curious to hear what you guys have to say about new Noah. There's not a whole lot to say at this point. We haven't really seen a whole lot of him. Any feelings that I have are not really related to the actor itself, just kind of related to the situation, because it is hard to accept a recast when no time has passed. We've had Noah for a long time. It seemed like everybody pretty much liked him. Nobody that I've ever heard of disliked him. Everybody kind of, at worst thought maybe he needed to be on the scene more, needed better storylines, but everybody seemed to like Kevin Schmidt, and now all of a sudden, with hardly no time passed, Kevin Schmidt was on the show maybe 2 months ago, now all of a sudden we have a new Noah and we're just expected to adjust? YNR's gonna have to focus on him in order to make it happen. I can't just have him do a little here, a little there. Like, they really need to focus on him if they want us to buy new Noah. His attitude seems pretty much the same. Although, it's weird. When Kevin Schmidt was on the screen a couple months ago, he was saying, I'm very open. You want to be, he was telling Sharon, you want to be with Grandpa, go ahead. I don't like it, but I'm going to stop being judgmental. Now he's back in Genoa City, and he's resentful of Sharon. Resentful of her for sending out text message invitation to Victor's funeral, and knowing that he wasn't dead, and not revealing that information to him, and in general getting tired of having this screwed up mother. I don't even know when Sharon became a screwed up mother, but she is, and Sharon stopped by at Faith's little birthday party just long enough to get arrested. It would be hard to forgive your mom or your wife after that. It's become totally ridiculous. Sharon, I don't even recognize her. I know I say that all the time, but I just don't even recognize her. When she was having all her trouble, her legal trouble, not even a year ago, all she wanted was to spend time with Faith. Her whole motivation was getting out of jail so that she could be a good mother. And as soon as this thing with Victor happened, she kind of abandoned Faith. You didn't really see her spending a whole lot of time with Faith, which is really sad. And also reminds me, I have a question for you guys. I thought that Nick and Sharon had shared custody of Faith. Is that not right? Because now all of a sudden it seems that Nick is the primary caretaker and he's the one that's making decisions about when Sharon will be able to see Faith, and I thought that they had shared custody. So maybe I'm wrong, maybe I missed that. I don't remember. You guys will have to leave me a comment and let me know if you have the answer to that question. But how humiliating. At her daughter's birthday party, Sharon gets freaking arrested. Avery was at Faith's birthday party for longer than Sharon was, and Avery would be a much more stable force in their life. Not saying Sharon doesn't deserve to be a mother or anything, but gosh, those kids need something to be stable, and Nick needs something to be stable, and Sharon is, I think, in complete denial about the seriousness of the situation that she's in. She's facing some major charges from her stint as Mrs. Victor Newman / CEO of Newman Enterprises. It's crazy. It's like fraud and it's conspiracy and making false statements to the police, interfering with their police investigation, and that's no small potatoes. I don't want to see Sharon go to jail. That's the truth. I don't want to see it. Not that maybe she doesn't deserve it. I don't know. I just feel like enough with jails, enough with courts, enough with lawyers, enough. I would rather see Sharon enact some kind of personal revenge, if she has to seek revenge, something personal. I'm just tired. I'm tired of legal trouble, but that doesn't change the fact that she's in it, and her attitude never ceases to amaze me. I cannot believe how Sharon has changed. She is so cold, but at the same time cartoonish when she's yelling. It's almost like, really? It doesn't seem to suit her, doesn't seem to fit her. She seems cartoonish. Cold and cartoonish is the way I would describe her right now. And it actually took getting arrested, getting booked, and I don't even think it was until the moment where she was alone in the jail cell that she realized how much trouble she was actually in and how alone she actually is now. Who does she have left? It was really weird because as she was being booked, Nick was there with her. After she got arrested at Faith's birthday party, Nick followed her to the police station and they were talking, and Sharon seemed so flippant. She was asking Nick to talk to Victor to get her out of jail, to get her off of the hook of this whole thing, which is laughable. For the way she treated Nick and Victor, she thinks that they're just going to bail her out now, and I think that really speaks to her mindset, because it's almost as if she believed and has believed the whole time that no matter what she did, she would be forgiven. She's always forgiven. Victor had warned her not to get involved with Adam, and it was her involvement with Adam that got her that whole, got her into that whole mess with her, had to fake her death and blah, blah. And Victor was the one that eventually he abandoned her, but then at the very last moment, he came out to save her and get her out of jail for that. And this time, he's not going to do it. And Nick's not going to do it. Nick has rescued her for her entire life that she's been on the show, and they're not going to do it anymore. Nick left her there. Victor came to visit Sharon with bars in between them, and it was so, it was just so, I don't know, they're enemies now. Victor and Sharon are enemies now, and it's hard for me to see Victor and Sharon as enemies because they've always had such a good relationship. Things have just changed so much. Tucker also came to see her, and I almost believed that he was sorry. For a brief moment, he seemed like he regretted having helped put her into this position, and that's exactly what he did. Tucker helped light this fuse, and now if he's feeling sorry for it, again, laughable. So, Sharon gets out on bail, but only for long enough to step right into another pile of poo. Guess what? The notary has a copy of the prenup that she signed and burned. Hey guys, why couldn't you have found a copy of the prenup a month ago when you were looking for it to try to get Sharon out of Newman? Seriously, you guys, seriously. Nick, Victoria, and Nikki didn't think to request a copy of the prenup? All of this could have been avoided. And now Sharon is facing a minimum of 3 years in prison plus a fine. And she's just got this crazy look in her eye. Like she's planning to contest the prenup and pursue this abandonment case against Victor and refuse to give Victor an annulment. Like at this point, Sharon needs a full-time legal and psychiatric team to help her sort out the mess that is her life. Victor is officially back, and he and Nikki are officially on the road to a full reunion. And I'm thinking, yeah, I like this. This is how it should be. Let's just take it slow and steady and make this reunion meaningful. Nah, Victor already bought the engagement ring. He probably pulled it out of his drawer of jewels. Like he has a drawer of engagement rings and diamond necklaces and various other extravagant gifts that he picks up on his travels around the world to give to whatever woman that he's with at the time. It's so Victor-esque. And in his mind, he thinks he's just going to get a quick annulment from Sharon, Nikki's gonna get her divorce finalized with Jack, and boom, happily ever after. So he calls her to his office. How romantic. And I have to admit, they're making me smile. She walks in the door and he's got candles lit all over the place, and he starts to ask her to marry him, and as soon as he reaches into his pocket to pull out the ring, she's like, no, don't do it. Just let's not do this yet. It's not time yet. There are still some things that I want to do before we make this official. So she kind of delays, not very long, tells him she needs a day, and just delays a little bit. And Victor, he agreed, but you could tell he wasn't happy about it. Like, damn it, the scene that they didn't show was Victor now walking around his office having to blow out all these candles. Whatever, I don't care, because an office proposal is totally unfitting. I would have been annoyed if they would have gotten engaged in his office. Go to the ranch. You shouldn't engage. You don't want to get engaged at work. How totally unromantic is that? Go to the ranch, or arrange a private dinner, or go to, remember the colonnade room? Go to the colonnade room or the athletic club or something and arrange for it to be special, not just standing there in your business suit in your office. Ridiculous. So Nikki goes off and she goes to talk to Katherine and get her opinion on this. And of course, Katherine is all for it. Katherine basically said, oh, you and Victor are getting back together? Gee, I told you so. But then she also sees Jack at the athletic club, and that's really what she needed to do, was to go talk to Jack. They were married just a month ago. They were solid married. They'd just been married. And now she's going to get engaged to Victor again, and she needed to talk to him and reconcile it. And she even said, you knew my feelings for Victor better than I did, because the entire time Jack was saying you're still in love with him, especially when she went off to go find him, and she denied it, and it was, I don't even know, I can't believe that she didn't know. I can't believe it was that subconscious for her. But they reconciled. Jack said, forgive me if I don't congratulate you, but it is what it is. I forgive you, and at least we can still remain friends. And I'm glad that they can still remain friends. But while they're having this conversation, Victor walks in and sees Nikki and Jack talking. And Katherine cut him off at the pass a little bit and said, don't interrupt. They need to do this. They need to have their closure. And he agreed, but he went back to his office and he was staring out his window, thinking deep the way Victor does. And Nikki came in the door and they met back up again, and he decided that he wanted to put the engagement on hold for a little while, that he had a few quick loose ends to tie up as well. The only problem is that loose end is named Sharon, and she's not going to go down quickly. Tucker is also experiencing the major fallout from his involvement with Sharon too. Everyone in Genoa City is just ready to line up, take a number, and start laying into him. And I think that Harmony really summed up what my feelings are. She talked to Tucker, sat down with him, and she was actually the most patient and nice with him. Everyone else was just with their pitchforks and torches. But she said, yeah, you made a business play for Newman. That's not surprising. That's what you do. You're a savvy businessman. But the way that you used Sharon to do it, that's what is surprising. That's what makes me sick. That's what has made me feel totally turned on Tucker. The way that he was sleeping with her, like literally using her as if she was some kind of Kleenex that he could just blow his nose on and then toss in the garbage. That's what bothers me about it. And everybody sees that. And I think that is. I think it's less about the business move and more about the personal thing that he did. Everybody sees it. Everybody's ticked off at him. Devon is doing what Devon does best. He and Noah should hang out. Devon gets judgmental again as soon as either one of his parents does something. He's ready to disown them, which, by the way, I get why Devon is upset. I get why everyone is upset, but your family is your family, and you can't just disown them, unfortunately. That's not what love is. You can dislike what they did, but you don't all of a sudden say, you're not my father anymore, or you're not my son. It's just, I don't know, I don't necessarily agree with that. But Devon, I think, said the thing that hurt Tucker the most, that, I'm sorry, Tucker, you're just not a good person. It's such a simple statement. You're just not a good person. But yet, it was so, ouch. That had to hurt more than anything else that anyone else said. Devon actually did have an interesting scene though this week. It was a lovemaking scene with Roxy. How often do you see that? You never see Devon in bed. Well, you never see Roxy, but you certainly never see Devon in bed. So it was kind of interesting to see them snugging up under the covers. I wish they would bring Roxy on. If they're gonna keep Devon on, they need to bring Roxy on more. I don't know why YNR refuses to dive into that, because I think it's interesting. And then there's Katherine. Katherine was so disgusted with Tucker, as if she's never done anything horrible to someone else. Give me a break. But she disinherits him. So it's just, it wasn't even, I thought she was going to say something like, you are no longer my son, but it was more like, I'm cutting you out of the will. Such a weird reaction, that's her reaction, cutting him out of the will. I don't know. She decides to give the money to Devon instead, replaces whatever Tucker was going to get in the will, and just like X's it out and writes Devon's name, which Tucker didn't need the money. It was more about the principle that if you're going to make business moves like this, I'm never going to let you get your hands on my company. And Katherine is not the only one that's making threats toward Tucker, because Nick went to go see Tucker this week and essentially said he didn't like what Tucker did to his company or his family's company or to Sharon. And Nick even went so far as to say something like, nobody screws with the Newmans and gets away with it. Very, very threatening. And I'm just wondering, there are all of these people hating on Tucker, making various threats and various points of disgust with him, and I feel like it's leading to something, but what? I wonder. Is it possible? Do you guys think it's possible that someone is going to kill him? Sarge opened up to Jack this week about his brother and everything that happened with that. I get the impression that, I mean, Sarge said before that he was drag racing fancy fast cars and his brother was, I guess, in the passenger seat or something, and Sarge got into an accident and his brother died as a result of that. And I have to say just really quick that I kind of like Jack having a friend. Sarge is revealing this to Jack, and Jack is still depending on Sarge for his physical therapy, and I don't know, I just kind of like the dynamic between Jack and Sarge. And I wonder if Harmony is being written off the show, will Sarge be far behind? I can't imagine that they're gonna keep him around. And alright, let's just get down to it, you guys. What is the story between Harmony and Sarge? Like, what's the deal? All of a sudden, they have a past connection, and my question is, why is this connection only being figured out now? It's just like Genevieve and Tucker. They've both been in Genoa City for months, and now all of a sudden it's revealed that they have a past together. It bothers me. Like, does everyone in Genoa City have to know everyone else from the past? It feels tacked on to me, but I'm still curious to know what the deal is. It was revealed a little bit, Sarge revealed this week that he and Harmony met at some kind of party, or he remembers meeting her at some kind of party, and he said something to the effect of, yeah, I knew that you wouldn't remember. I don't know if she was messed up on drugs or something, but he said he recognized her voice. He knew it was her when he heard her voice, which I don't know why he wouldn't recognize her face. It's weird. I'm confused. I'm very confused, because Sarge goes home after confusing Harmony a little bit. She didn't really press him for additional details, which is annoying, but Sarge goes home and he pulls out a note that said, it was kind of foggy, but it seemed like it said, I wish things could have been different. Sorry, Yolanda. And I don't know if it was supposed to be a Dear John letter. Maybe they were involved. Although, if they were involved, why would he only recognize her voice? Why wouldn't he recognize her face? I don't understand. Or maybe it's something worse. Maybe they weren't necessarily romantically involved. Is it possible that Harmony could somehow have been connected to Sarge's brother's death? Lily and Cain fans got a little treat this week. Lily gets a room at the athletic club to surprise Cain. It was very... Oh, Cain, you've been so upset all week about your mother, and you've been working so hard, so here are some boobies! That'll make you feel better. And it definitely did. I thought it was cute how she arranges this whole night for them. She's got classic movies, and she's arranged to have dinner delivered, and they're gonna have a couples massage, and Cain is just focused. He's got a one-track mind. She's got on this cute little bra and panty set, and she's got this whole night planned, and Cain just doesn't care. All he wants to do is bone. It's been 14 weeks since Ricky died, but who's keeping count? 14 weeks! Y&R is becoming very proficient at dragging out murder storylines. But we had two possible breaks in the case this week, which neither of them ended up panning out. First, Eden decided to have another go around at hypnosis to see if she could recall what happened that night. And the hypnosis scenes are dumb. They're just dumb. The actress is doing the best she can do, but it's just stupid. It's stupid that the lawyers were in the room. Come on, it's a private thing. And they're like, sure, let's have the lawyers in the room. And Ronan popped in, just walked in the door, right in the middle of it. It's so ridiculous, but whatever. Did you guys notice, was it a different doctor this time? It's just the guy didn't look familiar. I thought it was a different doctor, and maybe it should be, because it seems like every time they get somewhere, every time she starts to retrace her steps and figure something out, remember something, they stop the session. It's ridiculous. I'm so annoyed. Why can't she just remember? She didn't remember anything during the session, and then she goes out with Kyle later, and she all of a sudden had a memory of Paul saying out loud, "This ends here, Ricky." Which sounds on its own like a bad thing. It sounds like a vengeance sort of statement that he was making right before he killed his son. And Kyle is right there poking and prodding, having his own baggage with his mother being murdered. And he's kind of trying to get Eden to see the other side. Like, maybe Paul did murder his son, and even though you want to believe the best in him, maybe it's not the case. Which is dumb, because why would Paul want Eden to go through hypnosis to remember things if he had something to hide? That doesn't make sense at all. This whole thing doesn't make sense. Actually, Nina had a really good line this week. I love Nina. I want to see her and Paul get married someday soon. But Nina is sitting around with Chris and Danny and everyone. I mean, there's the whole crew is kind of sitting at the athletic club knowing this impromptu hypnosis session is going on, and they're chatting about it. And Nina said, as a writer, I wouldn't write this. Like, drama is one thing, misery is another. And that's exactly what this is. It's misery for Paul. And I also wondered, was that line kind of a jab at the old writers? I'm just wondering, because she was like, I wouldn't write this. I just thought, that's kind of maybe an inside jab there. I don't know, but it is miserable. It's miserable for Paul. It's miserable for us, because the second lead we had this week was Paul goes back to the scene of the crime in the alley behind the athletic club, which, for being a high-class place, the alley looks kind of scuzzy. I don't know. You'd think they'd have a high-class alley. But Paul goes, sits down on the ground, and he's lamenting the situation, and he sees the glimmer of something shiny in the gutter. And it's the knife. It's the knife we've been looking for, waiting for all this time. I was so annoyed. Like, if that knife was in the gutter the whole time, I'm gonna be so pissed off. It's just too convenient and too convenient. And Paul calls Ronan and Michael right away to come get this evidence, and he has one day of happiness thinking that this is gonna help prove that Ricky had a knife and that he was threatening Eden, and that's why Paul had to shoot him. But no, no, no. It didn't take very long at all before they got the forensic results back. The knife had been wiped clean. It just seems like something, obviously, that someone would do to be messing with him. It's misery on purpose. Someone's doing this on purpose. And then at the end of, what, maybe Wednesday, Thursday show, we saw this shadowy figure lurking around in the alley. I don't know if it's more than one person doing all of this, or if it's the same person. Is the person in the alley the same person who got Daisy out of the mental institution? I don't know. And is it the same person who's leaving flowers on Ricky's grave? Because Heather got a call this week from the grave caretaker, and apparently someone has been sending flowers every single day to Ricky's grave, which is weird that they would, like, they sent the flowers and left a note with the flowers. Who sends notes? Who sends flowers to a grave with a note? Who's gonna read the note? Nobody does that. But there's all these flowers every single day. The same note says, I won't forget. I don't know. I want to believe Ricky is still alive. I don't know why he'd be sending flowers to himself, though. I wonder if Ricky's still alive, and also there's this shadowy figure. The only thing I can figure is it's Isabella. Paul went to visit Isabella to tell her that Ricky was dead. She seemed to have absolutely no reaction to it, but I don't know if they're going to recast her or if it's just a plot device or what, but it's gotta be Isabella. It's gotta be. Damn it, I'm so annoyed that I really like the new Heather. Why did I have to start liking her? And then the actress gets booted off the show. Like, she was cute this week. There are some points where the Heather Daniel thing is a little over the top, but I thought it was cute, him trying to teach her to play guitar this week. And then, honestly, one of the best moments of the week, or, you know, sequences of the week, were Heather and Daniel getting double teamed by Chloe and Kevin. Like, they're trying to keep their relationship a secret, and they're, you know, separately, like Heather with Kevin and Daniel with Chloe, trying to dispel the rumors that they're together. And, like, Heather's making excuses, really lame excuses with Kevin, and Daniel's making really lame excuses with Chloe. And there was just, it was good. Like, there was a lot of great dialogue, I thought, in those scenes. And a lot of the dialogue was at Daniel's expense. It was just so funny. Like, Chloe threatened to cut off his ponytail if he didn't tell her the truth, or she said, I'm gonna cut off your ponytail in your sleep. Which is funny. And then, oh my gosh, the funniest thing was that Kevin, talking to Heather, called Daniel vaguely Messiah looking. It was such a quick little scene, a quick little quip, but as soon as he said that, I was like, oh my gosh, Daniel is totally rocking a Jesus vibe. I don't know why I never made the connection before, but it was really funny. Kevin and Chloe agree to keep their secret, and then, of course, can't not tell each other. And it was just cute to see the two couples sitting around, and Kevin and Chloe agreed to try to help Daniel and Heather sneak around. Of course, it's barely like they're sneaking around when everyone knows. Now, Kevin and Chloe know, Lily knows. I think the only person who really can't know is Phyllis, and Phyllis confronted Daniel this week about his relationship with the woman who's prosecuting her. You know, Daniel denying to Phyllis about his relationship with Heather was almost as unbelievable as Phyllis denying to Danny that she didn't run over Christine with her car. We have more opening credits to talk about this week. I'm still pretty impressed. I think everybody's really bringing their A game to the opening credits. I thought that Neil was very cute. He just looks cute standing there giving his little Neil smile. And let's see, Cain. Cain was giving a very over-the-shoulder, hunky look to the camera. was, of course, very sexy, but I noticed that there was no Lily in the opening credits, probably because they're still, I think, in contract negotiations with her. I think she's staying, but maybe they're ironing out some of the details. I hope that they give her her own credits. I mean, she appeared in Cain's credits. There was his over-the-shoulder look and then also a scene of him and Lily in bed. But she deserves, I hope that as soon as they bring her back, they get on that. Hopefully they made it easier to add cast members to the opening sequence. Brighton James, Devon was on there, and I just thought it was interesting because for so long his billing has just been Brighton. And that always was so off-putting to me. People who refuse to use their last names, Madonna, Cher. You're not Madonna or Cher Brighton. It was just always, it seems egotistical to me if I was just like, I'm losing my last name, I'm just Allie. And everyone will just always know that I'm Allie. It's too much. So I was glad to see that he actually used his full name in the credits. Tucker also got billing, which I guess means that he's going to be staying on the show. I always assumed he was not going to be around for long, but hey, they put him in the opening. Maybe he's staying around. Chloe was there. Finally. How long has Chloe been on the show? A long time, and she's just now finally getting her own opening. But it was good to see. Kevin had his opening, and he was giving a very shocked look in his. And for that matter, Daniel's opening, it was like there was one side of Daniel's he was painting, and the other side he was giving a who's at the door look. It was just very, who's at the door? You gotta look at it next time you see his opener. Just imagine him going, who's at the door? Who else? Nick. Nick is looking very Nick. He's kind of doing his GQ thing. Avery, to me, seemed a little awkward. I don't know what it is. She seemed like she didn't fit. She's so stiff. Maybe she was just stiff that day. I think she's stiff in general, but she just seemed awkward. And for that matter, frankly, I do not like Christian LeBlanc's opening. The part, you know, his close-up is good. I think he's sitting in a chair, I want to say. But the action shot of him walking around his office is just weird. Like, he's just wandering around his office, not looking at the camera like everyone else. And it cuts off at a weird point. You gotta look at it. It cuts off just before he was ready to look at the camera or something. It's bizarre. I thought he deserved a little better. And speaking of ones that I don't like and or understand, okay, Esther, Kate Linder got billed. And I'm like, okay, she's been on the show for a long time, but she's not on the show that much. And it's fine, but she needs to update. Like, the French maid thing is so getting old. I haven't seen her in the French maid outfit in a really long time, but these are new openings. They're supposed to be fresh, and there's a face shot of her and then her action shot of her in her little French maid outfit, and I'm thinking, it's 2012, okay? And she's in her 60s. Enough with the French maid. It makes the show, it's embarrassing, to be honest with you. If anybody was watching the show for the first time, saw those credits, her rolling in her French maid outfit, it is humiliating. I don't like it at all. And plus, like, are we including recurring characters in the openings? Because Esther is hardly ever on the show. And where's Lauren? Lauren's recurring, but she's on the show at least fairly frequently, a heck of a lot more than Esther. Where's Lauren's opening? I don't understand. And I'm also very shocked that Kyle got one. What? But I guess that means he's staying around. I really thought they were going to get rid of him. But why do Kyle and not Eden? Is Eden on her way out? Is she going to get... I don't know. There's so many of them, and there's more. I feel like we before only had maybe 2 or 3. Now there's a bunch of different openings, and I don't really understand what the rhyme or reason is. Like, why are some people in more than one? I don't get it. I like the shots, but overall I'm kind of like, what's going on behind the scenes there? I don't get it. And just, this is totally off topic, but another thing I really wanted to mention, has anybody noticed during the show that, like, they always include background noises? For instance, if we're at Glowworm or the athletic club, you always kind of hear people talking and dishes clinking in the background, like there's a soundtrack in the back. Or at the jail, when Sharon was at the jail, there's the sound of closing cells and people talking and chains rattling and whatnot. But has it, like, I normally don't notice those, but they're really loud this week. Are you guys noticing that? It's almost distracting. I'm trying to watch the show, and I'm not even watching it with headphones or anything, and I just keep hearing all these loud background noises, and I'm thinking, what's up with that? Okay, you guys, that is it for me. I've talked and talked and talked, and now it's your turn to talk. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you're thinking about this week's show, what's going on screen, on screen, what's going on behind the screen, behind the scenes. I really can't wait to hear everything that you guys are thinking, so please don't hesitate to leave me a comment. I love hearing from you. And I'll be back next week to chat again about the show. So everybody have a good one. I love ya, and I'll see you next time. Bye!